racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top now!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Hello and welcome to The Mountain. We arrive in Bathurst for round 4 of the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series, beginning the second half of the season and the Australian portion of this season. We visited 3 tracks around Japan, and we head today to the most iconic circuit in Australian motorsport. As always, you're seeing it all live right here on Simspeed TV, thanks to Simfinity, Sideways Photography, and RSW Graphics. My name is Ryan Jones. Alongside me in the booth, as always, Cameron Dance. Cameron, we head to Mount Panorama. It's going to be a really grueling race for these drivers.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's the first leg of the Australian part of the season, now halfway through the season, and what's been an absolutely action-packed and awesome season so far, and the championship can't be any more mixed up than it is. So looking forward to what the Australian tracks are going to provide and who's going to come out on top and on their home turf.
Yeah, well, we've seen a few surprises in qualifying so far. Let's take a look then at your starting grid. So Harlow's quickest with his biggest margin of the season so far, perhaps half a second back to Riley Preston in second. Andrew Hobby qualifies third and Caleb Hyde's in fourth. That's a second row we did not expect to see. Dean Ross and Reese Gardner lining up fifth and sixth, and Sam Ross, Murray Vartanian on row 4. Kobe Williams and Salga Lenti make up your top 10.
Then row 6 is going to be Reese Howell and Dylan DeBono, Daniel Hiddeshield and Simon Mazoma on row 7, Grant Mediford, Pariana Stakis on row 8, Matthew Spencer, Nathan Anderson, Eddie Beswick and Jager Pascoe rounding out the top 20.
21st off the start grid today will be Joshua Cavallaro, Tim Corn alongside him, Jake Sperry and Matt Dunphy on row 12. Then comes James Allen and Isaac Edwards, Cameron Cousins, Ryan Jarrett, Bradley Wingard and Benjamin Dahlia round out your top 30. Dylan Gray rounds out the field in 31st place. It is a cold and dark track. It is 4:15 in sim time, but there is a lot of clouds overhead. Track temp of 26 degrees, so that might help the turn in a little bit with these cars, which are going to understeer like a dump truck as they try to carry that throttle across the top of the mountain. Some big opportunities for overtaking and for slipstream and slingshot. Mountain straight out of Hell Corner towards Griffin's Bend. And of course, the infamous Conrod Straight that leads into the Chase and the King, the highest speed corner in Australian motorsport. But these cars, completely different to what we associate the most with this circuit. Normally we see the supercars come racing. This is a completely different style of vehicle, and drivers are going to have to adapt to that as they do battle. So the red lights are going to come on, and let's get ourselves set because we're in for an absolute cracker. Race 1 of the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series from Mount Panorama is go, and it is a great start for Jackson Harlow. Preston as well, able to slot into second, and it looks like your top 6, 7, 8 going to go single file down into turn 1. A very clean start for the first half of the field.
Yeah, everybody seems to have made it through turn 1 reasonably cleanly. A couple going 2 by 2 further back, but for the most part, everybody's actually got through turn 1 pretty well and they're sorting themselves out down towards Griffin's Bend.
Caleb Hyde's looking at the inside of Andrew Hobby, but he's not got enough momentum or braking performance to get down there, so Hobby easily retains that spot around the outside on the entry to turn 2, and now we head up the mountain, and there's a crash down at Griffin's Bend. They're wrecking on the exit as well. That's Salga Lenti up against the fence on the inside, and there were 2 more, potentially 3, on the exit. Joshua Cavallaro was one of them, Cameron Cousins the other.
Yeah, a number of drivers involved in that crash at Griffin's Bend. Pretty much everybody from roughly outside the top 20, well, pretty much from 16th backward, was all caught up in some way. You had Anastakis, Anderson, Cavallaro, Galente, Matterford, Heddershield, all somehow involved in one way or another.
Oh, did you see the slide that Caleb Hyde's had going on as he came through the dipper? And look how much his momentum's been hurt as a result. Dean Ross all over his back bumper. Reece Gardner tried to go the long way around and found no grip, and behind them, someone wiped the fence with the right side of the car. It was Kobe Williams, and Andrew Hobby's done it with a lot more force, and the right front of that car is destroyed.
Yeah, Kobe Williams just grazing the wall, but Andrew Hobby unfortunately doing the same thing, but ending up whacking the wall a lot harder. And luckily it was actually only the tyre barrier instead of concrete, but that car looks very, very sad, and he's going to drop down the order very quickly.
This is tight into the chase. 5 cars vying for one spot, and they come out of it still side by side. Hyde's doing a fantastic job to fend off Dean Ross, but now he's got the third line through Murray's corner onto the brakes. Going to be tough for Hydes to hold it around there. He can't, but he does get the exit and moves it over. Reece Gardner in there looking as well. We're on board with Vartanian as they all look for some clean air down towards turn 1. That's lap 1 in the books. Harlow leads by half a second. It's 5 seconds already. Back to this mammoth battle for third place.
Yeah, and Hyde's nearly nearly lost it actually on the way into turn number 1. So it's compromised his exit, and it's going to allow Vartanian and Gardner to possibly have a look at Griffin's Bend. But who's going to break the latest? Probably Hyde's, but Reece tries to hold it around the outside. A little bit of side-by-side contact, and Reece going to get shoved out towards the wall, and it's going to lose 3 for 1 here.
That's going to allow Vartanian and also Sam Ross to slip on by him. That's the dangers of Griffin's Bend. The outside offers up such little grip. Marbles, dust and dirt all catch on the outside of that corner like no other on this circuit, and rarely are you able to hold it around there. The contact definitely didn't help matters for Reece Gardner. So let's take a look at our modem simulation replay of the incident down at turn 2. So here's Sal Galente, middle of the screen. He got hit from the left-hand side. He got into the outside fence. So it was De Bono that got into him. And as he spun back to the inside, you could see Anastakis, the first car on the scene, just avoided him, but a lot of these guys, Cam, completely unsighted.
Yeah, certainly were. I don't think anyone really expected a car to be parked on the apex of turn 2, or let alone there be cars going everywhere as well. And unfortunately, Beswick and Spencer and also Cavallaro all came together on the exit, trying to avoid each other, and Cousins even involved in that incident. But yeah, what a start to the race that was for a lot of drivers. But at the moment, it's still going on at the front of the field between Reece Gardner, who's trying to find a way on by Sam Ross now into the chase, but not quite going to be late enough on the brakes.
Oh no! 2 mistakes. Gardner into the back of Sam Ross, and in front of them, the preceding car had bowled wide and ended up off the track at the chase as well. So what's happened there is Ross has drifted wide of the apex in response to Gardner having a look, Cam, and that's caused him to really be quite slow on the exit.
Yeah, it certainly has, and possibly some very minor contact between the two of them on the way into the braking zone, but very odd to actually see both Vartanian and Hydes run deep into the chase as well, considering there was quite a large gap and there was no battling between the two of them either. So yeah, really, really weird one between the two front ones.
That has cost Ross so much time. He's back in 25th now, 40 seconds away from the lead of the race. So that's really hurt him, despite it being a relatively innocuous piece of contact. Now here's Jake Sperry up inside the top 20 now, challenging on the back of Matt Dunphy, Tim Corn, Bradley Wingard. So this is a battle for P17 in this race. And none of them are going to be close enough just yet. Up towards the cutting, this is the part of the racetrack where you start to think about not going side by side and biding your time all the way up until Forest Elbow, across the top and back down the hill. After that opening lap, Cam, Harlow's advantage has not opened up any further. Preston doing a good job to stick with him.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's half a second pretty much is the gap between Preston and Harlow, but it's not quite going to be close enough for Preston to have a go, even with the drafters. We saw in previous editions, these cars actually hit the limiter quite early on the way down to the chase, just primarily due to how long the straight is and how it's downhill as well. So he's got to get a little bit close if he wants to go at trying to find a way on by, but it's not a bad thing to be finishing second at this point.
No, but if we look at his championship picture, remember he's playing catch-up in a big way, so he really does need to finish ahead of Harlow, even if it is just a 2-point swing in his favour. So De Bono just past Hetchersfield at Forest Elbow, but Hetchersfield wants the spot back. He had a big dive there up the chase. There was almost contact as he just avoided the left rear of De Bono's car, hurts his exit, and now here comes Mizomo. Looks like De Bono's having to serve a drive-through penalty for the contact we saw a lap ago that sent Galenti into the fence on lap 1. So that's going to elevate these guys both up a spot.
Yeah, it certainly will. Mizomo is all over the back of Hettersfield as well.
He's made a mistake coming into pit road, actually. He's either spun it or ended up having to bring it to a stop. Here we go. This will tell us what happened, Cam.
Yeah, he's done the classic old pit entry of you've gone in a little bit too hot, and unfortunately that's ended up off the road and into the barrier.
Bathurst is a deceptively difficult pit entry. Very tricky to get right, especially at full racing speed. And Bono demonstrates that pretty unwillingly, unfortunately for him. Mizomo wasn't able to get by Hetchersfield up at Griffin's Bend. Admiring the pace of Kobe Williams at the moment as well, Cameron. He's flown onto the back of Vartanian, the better part of a second quicker than him last time by. Remember, Williams just grazed the fence on lap 1 as well. So he's done a good job not to pick up damage from that error of Forest Elbow, and still showing some great pace, already up 3 spots.
Yeah, certainly is. And he actually hit the wall, well, bounced off either side of the wall at Silman Park, Reed Park, sorry, both on the right-hand side and left-hand side, and it nearly ended in tears for him if he had to hit the wall just a little bit harder, but luckily only just grazed enough. And he's hit the wall at the far lowest elbow as well, but it's all on, and it's just outside that top 20 for Sam Ross.
I just saw a truly heart-stopping moment for Joshua Cavallaro. My word, coming down Skyline. That car sent a couple scattering as they crested and saw a car spreading all across the track. So Cavallaro loses it, very weirdly, and then, oh my, let's get it on board with that first car in line, if we can, because he wouldn't have had much forewarning about that, would he?
Probably not, and the spotter would have probably only just told him as he got to the scene of the accident, and he's actually crabbing the whole way up, so he's hit the wall somewhere in the lap. He's actually been crabbing for the entire lap, so he's actually been out of pit lane to get repairs done, and they haven't been done properly, unfortunately.
No, they haven't. That was Jaeger Pascoe, first car on the scene. Did a fantastic job to read that incident early and hook a left down through the S's to avoid a major incident down the hill. Copped a little bit of a whack as he rejoined, but all's fair for him. Harlow putting in a purple lap again, up at the front. Now he's stretching his legs, and the gap's out to 1.5 seconds. Just outside the top 10, here's Parianastakis, currently in 11th place, but coming under a lot of pressure from Nathan Anderson and Eddie Bestwick as well. Those two both quicker than him. In fact, Eddie Bestwick, he was a second quicker, so he's caught these two. He's got nowhere to go. Not until Forest Elbow, at least, anyway.
You never know, it might make a move somewhere else, but it'll be pretty risky, especially in these cars where you're using those front tyres up to try and turn and power the car off the corner. So probably going to have to wait a little bit, but he'll bide his time regardless as he comes down the mountain through Skyline now.
how close he is to the rear bumper of Anderson's car. In fact, did he give him a touch there? It was close. He really had to wrestle that car. And unfortunately, that's actually going to hurt him. Being so aggressive down the hill, he's cost himself a chance at a good launch out of Forest Elbow. He's gifted about 4 car lengths to Nathan Anderson, who's also getting the benefit of a great tow from Parianastakis. And in fact, watch Anderson here. He's got to run. He's going to be able to look up the inside. Through the kink, he's going to urge the car over to the left-hand side, which he does. And then on the inside, on the brakes, he gets the move done. And Eddie Beswick going to follow him as well from a long way back.
Yeah, how was the heads-up driving by Beswick to just throw it up the inside when there was a gap, and nearly does the same thing to Nathan Anderson at the final corner, but that is a position made for Parianastakis to get ahead, well, for Eddie Beswick, sorry, to move ahead of Parianastakis and now be on the charge for Nathan Anderson as Tim Corns found the wall at the dipper.
Replay as he's wide through the S's, he's lost the rear end and smacked the concrete with the right front. He's managed to miss the tyre bundle, and that will have done significant damage to the right front assembly on that Audi TCR machine. Remember that battle I highlighted earlier between Williams and Vartanian, the pace that Kobe was showing? Well, here it is, all over the back of Vartanian. Last lap, he was about half a second quicker.
Yeah, so Williams going to try and find a way on by and get another position to move inside that top 5 ahead of Vartanian, who's doing a reasonably actually good job at holding on to Kobe Williams or holding off Kobe Williams at this stage. But it's one thing to do defensive drive, the other driver's going to try and find a way on by, so you kind of got to make sure that you don't play your cards too early, but they won't be too long, as it should be the white flag this time around for all the drivers.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Only a minute 40 left on the clock. 2 minute 18, 2 minute 20 lap times around here. So quite slow. These cars around the mountain. Here we go. He's about a car length off him, down Conrad. Now he doesn't want to pull alongside him before the kink, because if he does, he ends up on the wrong side of the track for the chase. But he's going to pull alongside him before the kink, and he's going to end up on the wrong side of the track for the chase. And doesn't work out.
Or is he? No, not quite. The run's not quite been there, but he's still right on the bumper.
Yeah, I think inexperience showing a fraction there from Williams. Too eager to get the move done. Cost him an easy opportunity at the chase. But thankfully for him, Vartanian drops the right size off the track on the exit of Murray's. And that allows him a easy move down at turn 1.
Yeah, Vartanian is now going to have the draft on this last lap, so if Vartanian can stay close enough, he might stand a chance at getting this position back as he's closing up towards Griffin's Bend. He's actually got a very, very good run, has Vartanian, as they head up towards Griffin's Bend, side by side, squeezing each other as close as they possibly can, and Vartanian going to try hold around the outside. He's actually going to manage to do it.
That is going to be a vastly underappreciated move. That was absolutely sublime. He threw it in around the outside. It really looked like Williams was on the limit of his performance as well on the brakes, but somehow he found the grip to make it work the long way at Griffin's Bend. Is there still a twist to come, though? Because don't forget, Conrad Straight approaches, and Williams is not going to let this go without a fight, nor so is Vartanian. As they battle, look who starts to catch. Hetchersfield and Simon Mizomo. So this could be an almighty 4-way scrap into the final corners. They're about 20 seconds off your race leader. There he is, Jackson Susan Harlow. Remember, he's privateer now, but his pace has been completely unaffected as he's going to cruise once again to an easy victory. Preston there in second. There's the battle for third. Dean Ross looks to have Caleb Hydes pretty easily covered. And Vartanian, very strong down the mountain, snaking his way down Conrad. But I don't think he needs to, because he's pulled a great gap out of Forest Elbow. And Williams is quite a few car lengths back. Here comes Harlow through the final corner. lights ablaze. Jackson Susan Harlow going to pick up another race victory in the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series. Preston home in second. Dean Ross, look how close Hydes is getting, but he will hold on to take third. And Hydes right behind. These guys really bunched up through the chase. But Vartanian, by the skin of his teeth, Cameron, he's going to hold on.
Yeah, he's just going to have done enough to make it home in that top 5 position. But what a battle. But further back, it's on for the minors between Anderson and Beswick.
Oh,
Once
no!
between the two, around it goes Beswick nearly, but they're going to run to the line, and Dali is just going to miss out.
How about that? Need a replay of that, for sure. Ira Felberg looks like they're coming across the line. That was a great little duel. Could see that contact coming from a mile away, though. And into the lane on the final lap, De Bono again. This time he actually gets it in without nope, never mind. He did make a mistake. It was just after he got it down to pit road speed. And now he'll cross the line. Don't know what the story is there for the late pit stop. All right, let's look at a replay, thanks to Modem Simulation. This is that finish, Cam, between Bestwick and Anderson.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see the run from Anderson was barely enough, well, not quite enough, and Beswick threw it up the inside. Yeah, didn't quite pull it up, hit the curb as well, and that unsettled him straight into the side of Anderson, who probably didn't see him coming in, unfortunately. Both of them ending up nearly in the wall. Anderson copping the biggest hit from the wall, and Dahlia nearly getting both of them at the line, but unfortunately Anderson just had enough momentum to get across before him.
Yeah, in the end, that works out very nicely. Anderson kept his spot, and Bestwick ended up losing a spot for his overzealous move down there at the final quarter. In fact, we'll take a look at another replay too of that glorious maneuver for Vartanian to retake P5 up at Griffin's Bend. You don't often see a move around the outside, and there's a reason for it. There is no grip, just the way the corner is shaped, I guess. You can't make it work around there, but look here, there was a massive lunge on the inside from Williams, almost unsettled it. When he hit the curb, that's what I think undid him, but the grip that Vartanian found is unheard of.
Yes, certainly. Usually when you're right out in that grey, you've got no grip and you're usually going to be hitting for the wall. You're going to have to try and pull it up somehow and let the guy on the inside go. But Vartanian proving, nevertheless, that you can indeed go around the outside at Griffin's in a DCR car.
Indeed you can. Let's take a look at your full results then from race 1 of 2 this evening. Don't go anywhere. Here at Mount Panorama, Jackson Harlow, margin of victory, 2.8 seconds. Back to Riley Preston. It's a familiar duo up at the top. Dean Ross home in third. He's second in the championship too as well. Caleb Hydes, Murray Vartanian 4th and 5th. Then Kobe Williams, Daniel Hedgeshield, Simon Mazzomo, Reese Gardner, and Nathan Anderson.
And we go back to Benjamin Daly, who just missed out on that top 10, followed by Eddie Beswick, Perrin Stackers. And then you go back to Bradley Wingard and Jaeger Pascoe to round out the top 15. 16th to Matt Dunphy and James Allen coming home in 17th. Dylan Gray in 18th, and Jake Sperry and Grant Medford rounding out the top 20.
Dylan De Bono coming home 21st after 2 ventures to pit lane. Cameron Cousins, Isaac Edwards, Sam Ross, Tim Cord, Matthew Spencer, Reese Howe, and then the retirements, Galenti, Hobby, and Cavallaro. So let's take a look at our championship standings, Cam, because it is actually quite tight. Now, Harlow's up at the top, and that's of little surprise. Dean Ross, Mr. Consistency, is sitting in second, just 7 points away, although that could now be 9 points after race 1. Still well within striking range. Gardner there in third. Preston in 4th. Really needs something to go his way to claw his way back into this fight after the contacts and the penalty at Okayama. And then Sam Ross making it 2 Rosses up in the top 5.
Yeah, it's certainly a very mixed up championship standings. I mean, you coming into the season, you probably wouldn't have said Dean Ross and Reece Garner would have been inside that top 3 and even as close as they are to Harlow. So it's very, very interesting to see the way that this championship is starting to form and who's looking like the contenders are being. And obviously Dean Ross, with the results he's had in the past few rounds, is just helping his championship so much. And whether he's going to be able to actually win this thing if Harlow trips up or not, who knows? But yeah, it's a really exciting championship, and there's not a lot in it between those top 3 especially.
Can't wait to see how this one plays out. Still one more race to come here at Mount Panorama. We've got another qualifying session to precede it, and then we head to Phillip Island and Oran Park to round out our season. So we'll go to a quick break here on Simspeed TV. And on the other side of this, ready for qualifying from Bathurst.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top
Oh
now.
my god! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to the world's most famous mountain in Australia. Mount Panorama, Bathurst, round 4 of the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series, Season 4, heading to Oceania, Japan, and Australia. Simfinity, Subways Photography, and RSW Graphics proudly bringing you the coverage live on Simspeed TV. My name's Ryan Jones, and Cameron Dance with me in the booth. Race 1 was wild. Race 2, surely going to be more of the same. We're adding in a pit stop as well, which, as we saw, thanks to Dylan DeBono's drive-through, might offer up a bit of drama.
Yeah, it certainly could do that. Pit entry looks like it could. You can take it reasonably committed, but that's not the case, as Dylan DeBono showed. It can bite you very, very hard if you're unlucky enough. So we'll see what happens in the pit stops and whether anybody is unlucky enough to fall victim to the tight and twisty section of road that the pit entry is. But nevertheless, really looking forward to the second race and seeing who's going to possibly challenge Jackson Susan Harlow, or who's going to possibly shake this field up.
Sal Galenti going to be thankful for a chance to reset after being unceremoniously obliterated down at turn 2 on lap 1. So he can have a crack in qualifying, maybe try to qualify a little bit higher up the order and stay out of trouble if he can. But when the mountain bites hard, and sometimes there is nothing you can do. We saw an incident with Cavallaro spinning. Jaeger Pasco was very fortunate to miss that one. Incidents like that rarely have such a pleasant outcome. Galenti almost lost it down at the chase there on this warm-up lap. Cold tyres are a massive talking point. But here at the mountain, you've got to be especially careful, much like a street circuit, because if you do make a mistake on those cold tyres, you're going to have to go back to pit lane. And at this track, that takes up a massive chunk of your session.
Yes, certainly, especially when the out lap or a lap in general is over 2 minutes. In fact, it's about 2 minutes 20 or so. So that's a lot of time. And when you've only got 10 minutes to do your 3 laps, you pretty much almost eliminate 2 of your laps. So you've kind of got to make sure that you don't actually hit the walls or make any mistakes on those cold tyres, and just try and get that bank lap in and then go hell for leather for the other 2 laps.
I'm still looking at turn 2 there, trying to figure out how the outside was a viable line for Vartanian. Wonder if we'll see anyone else try that move in this race. I guarantee if we do, it won't have the same success rate. As Galenti up through the cutting, taking a nice line, nice and steady so far on this lap. And then up under the tree. This is a corner that you can take flat out in some cars. In other cars, if you try to take it flat out, you will be sent into a very quick meeting with the fence on the outside, which has bitten so many cars with vicious tendencies over the years, both in real life and sim racing. And then down Skyline, perhaps the most iconic corner on the circuit, through the S's into the dipper, where the front left picks itself up and off the ground as you drop massively back down the hill into Forest Elbow. You reach the bottom of the mountain, and your exit here is paramount because it leads to the longest straight on the circuit, Conrod Straight.
It's a very tight and technical time over the top of the mountain, but once you get down to Conrod, it's reasonably easy and reasonably straightforward of just driving in a straight line and then go through a handful of corners.
You could put it like that, or we could look at it from that perspective and see the speed you carry through the kink. That perhaps has seen the most vicious crash in the history of the mountain. Close to 10 years ago now, I'm going to say. Fabian Coulthard rolling it there. Thankfully walking away. Galenti through the final corner then. What's his first time going to be as he puts himself up on the board with a 2-minute 20.360. Goes 7th for now.
Yeah, so a reasonable first lap from Galente, but Harlow and De Bono at the top of the timesheet at the moment on 2-minute 18s, 2-minute 18.1 for Harlow and a 2-minute 18.9 for De Bono. Dean Ross in third at the moment with a 19.1, so reasonably close just inside those top 5 or so positions, but Harlow once again putting his authority down.
Be interesting to see if Caleb Hyde and Andrew Hobby can replicate their qualifying pace from race 1. They qualified on the second row. At the moment, Hydes is 4th. Hobby hasn't set a time yet, but De Bono up in second. Gonna be fun to see if he can keep himself there, because he definitely needs to bounce back after a disappointing first race. Somewhere on the track, Jay tells us that Cavallaro has hit the wall. Grant Matterford, no such issues. He will come across the line, and Matterford puts himself into 9th place. Cavallaro had to escape back to the pit, so he's going to be severely hampered here in qualifying. Here's Hobby.
Yeah, we'll see what Hobby can do as he's coming into the chase. Nice and smooth on the way through the chase at the moment. Looks like it's been a reasonably okay lap so far for Andrew Hobby, but we'll see what the lap time is as he comes down towards Murray's corner, turning it in very nice. Misses the apex a little bit, but it's a nice clean exit. Comes across the line, and the lap time puts him nowhere because it doesn't actually count.
So he's... Look at the right-hand side of the car. It is missing the wing. So, miraculously, he's not got much damage to the actual body of the car. Just managed to scrape the wing off. Most likely, he peeled it off using the fence across the top through Solomon Reed and, well, not McPhillamy. That'd be a long venture out through the grass. But he would have hit the fence somewhere. And so he will have to try again. Dylan Gray started off the back for race 1. And will put himself 16th so far in qualifying for race 2. 3 minutes left on the clock.
And Caleb Hydes goes to P3. De Bono and Harlow have improved. And Harlow nearly in the 17s with a 18.003. So very, very good lap from those top 2. Couple of others sitting reasonably good laps. Reese Gardner a little bit down the order in P11, which is a little bit surprising considering he was up the pointy end in race 1.
Preston got himself closer to Harlow with that latest effort. Remember, he was half a second off in race 1 qualifying session, which was, as I said at the time, maybe one of the biggest gaps of the season. As Korn goes 19th, Mizomo pops himself up into 6th place. He's eyeing off a top 5 finish. Has told us he's feeling very confident of it tonight.
Yeah, certainly done the right thing to put himself in the right spot to be in contention for that top 5 finish. So we'll see what he can do in the race and hopefully doesn't run into any problems to disadvantage himself.
Hope you were touching wood when you said that, because otherwise you just put an almighty curse on his head. Matt Dunphy across the top. Not running it as close to the wall as you can. Opting to leave some margin to make sure he actually gets this lap in. Risk versus reward. You've got to weigh it up and pick the right spread between them. No, it was gone. I held my breath. I thought he was going to save it. It was swinging back and forth. Eventually, as he went through the dipper, the back of the car swung a bit too much, and he noses it into the tyre bundle.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a little bit of a scene out of Tokyo Drift there, but nevertheless, wasn't quite meant to be. Just seen also Andrew Hobby go to P6 in the order. Sam Ross gone to P5 as well.
Good job from Sam. Jumps ahead of his brother. They're not related. They're running the same team. Jay questioned me, made me second guess it. Dean Ross just put one back over him, and Harlow just put one over the field. 7/10, back to Preston.
Yeah, and Reese Gardner up into P3 as well. So very, very good lap from Gardner and a very good lap from Harlow as well to break into the 17s now, which is an almighty gap, like you said, over the field where everybody else is doing 18s and slower.
Yeah, Preston did improve, but still, the gap's at half a second. So that is an almighty gap. He is absolutely blisteringly quick around this racetrack is Jackson Harlow. Let's take a look at your starting grid for our 25-minute second race here in the Ozicar Touring Car Series from Mount Panorama. It is Harlow and Preston that occupy row 1 together. Gardner, a much better qualifying here for race 2, starts third. De Bono from 4th. So he's recovered well from the race 1 mishaps. Caleb Hydes strong again in qualifying ahead of Dean Ross. Sam Ross 7th. Kobe Williams 8th, picking up where he left off in the race. Andrew Hobby 9th, and Mizomo from 10th.
Row 6, is it going to be Reese Howell and Mario Vartanian, Daniel Hedeshield and Sal Galente on row 7? Row 8, Brianna Stakis and Matthew Spencer, Benjamin Dahlia and Nathan Anderson on row 9. Rounding out top 20, Grant Manafort and Jager Pascal on row 10.
You'll see Tim Corn and Matt Dunphy lining up just behind them, and then the starting spots get tricky because they are starting in the middle of the final quarter. Dylan Gray, Cameron Cousins, Isaac Edwards, Eddie Bestwick, Bradley Wingard, Jake Sperry, Cavallaro, and James Allen, the rest of the field. In fact, everyone from Bestwick on back failed to register a lap in that session. So this 25-minute race, if you're watching for the first time, we need a reminder, they have to pit at some point for 2 tyres. A minimum of 2 tyres, but if you take 4, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. The race not long enough to overcome that extra time spent in pit lane. Estimated race distance then of 11 laps. Track temp pretty much the same as our first piece of action earlier this evening. So expect the track to be the same underneath the right foot for these drivers. So at least they've got that going for them. Pit strategy, well, as always, expect anything from the end of lap 1 to the beginning of the final lap. Did see drivers going late last race, I do believe, at... Where were we?
Motegi.
Twin Ring Motegi. That's a glimpse into my memory status if you ever wanted to see how bad it is. But looking forward to this race, let's see what we're going to get. Because the red lights are on. Let's go racing at Mount Panorama one more time tonight. As away we go. And again, a great launch from everyone in the front half of the field. And they single file themselves out down into turn number 1. Caleb Hyde's trying to squeeze up the inside of Dean Ross. The squeeze was on, and the exit is on for Dean Ross. As they snake their way down Mountain Straight, Harlow trying to shake the draft. Hydes and Ross engaged in a drag race that Dean Ross will win down towards Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, but it's on for the lead, and Preston's looking left, right, and centre, try and find a way on by, but not going to be able to do it into Griffin's Bend, and everybody else seems to have made their way on it through Griffin's Bend cleanly as well, so no major incidents this time around on lap 1.
Preston desperate to get by, and he knows how much pace Harlow has. If he can just get in front, maybe he can hold him off. We've seen drivers struggle to pass at times this season. Preston, a good example last time out, when he failed to be able to overtake Dean Ross for the entirety of both races, in fact, and grew very frustrated at the sight of that particular rear end by the end of the evening. With how close and tightly packed they are across the top. A lot of drivers running it right up against the fence here on lap 1, trying to maximize their speed and stay as close as they can to the preceding car, because when they get back to Conrod, massive opportunity here on the opening lap when everyone's so close together to pull a move thanks to the slipstream and the slingshot down into the chase. Top 4 are still pretty much nose to tail. De Bono almost into the tail of Reese Gardner there and into the fence. He hit it. The camera jumped up. He might have got away with it, bar for a poor exit.
Yeah, he certainly would have, and there's actually been quite a bit of a moment at the top of the mountain. The track was actually blocked at one point on the way down the skyline. A number of drivers involved: Matthew Spencer, Isaac Edwards, Brayley Wingard, James Allen, Dylan Gray, and Jake Sperry, all involved in a colossal moment.
Try and grab that if we can. Preston had a little look at the chase, wasn't quite close enough. Reese Gardner right on the back of him as well. As was that a move up the... contact! Around goes Dean Ross. Dylan De Bono on the inside.
No, obtaining in the wall. And Sam Ross as well.
Oh, no. Oh! Dahlia, big hit into the side of Vartanian. And that was a less than optimal rejoin from, was it Vartanian or was it Anderson? Sorry. I saw a blue car and my first thought jumped to Vartanian. We'll get confirmation on that in a second. He was the move that triggered it. De Bono, late look up the inside, didn't get it pulled up, too wide at the inside of the corner, and spears Ross into the fence. He tries to rejoin, runs into the side of one of the competitors, triggers that, and that was, in fact, that was Vartanian that drove into the front of Dahlia there. Here's the onboard from him.
Oh, just left with nowhere to go, and then got tagged from behind, trying to avoid the spun Dean Ross, and then just carnage ensued from that point.
I think there'll be a lot to look out there for race control from a number of different perspectives, both at the start and the end of that incident. On board from Jaeger Pascoe, as he tried to navigate the carnage. Did he make it through? Cars everywhere. Tyres there. Oh, no, he didn't make it. The gap closed, and he's now got damage to carry, and De Bono has been disqualified from the race.
Yeah, that's not too ideal for De Bono, and obviously race control clearly not happy with how De Bono's driving has been in this race.
Well, remember earlier today as well, in race 1, he had the incident on lap 1 with Sal Galenti where he got into the back of him. So I think an accumulation of those two incidents has earned him more than just a slap on the wrist from race control. Look how tight this is. Up at the front, not here. Dahlia is who we're watching, but Harlow and Preston. Harlow was hard on the defense down to the final corner, driving it down the left-hand side of the racetrack. Preston has stuck like glue to that back bumper. Fastest lap of the race for him there on lap number 2, a 2:19 flat. Whoa, whose car is that coming out of pit road? That's Dylan Gray. He tried to get repairs, but I don't think many repairs were done to that rear end.
Yeah, that car's looking a little worse for wear, especially that rear end where the actual boot lid's actually flapping up and down as he's going down the straight, and there's actually no front end on there either.
He did a very good job there to stay out of the way of the leaders. That's what we like to see from the lapped cars, especially when they have that much damage. Look how many people are in pit road. This is a combination of drivers who've got damage that they're trying to repair, those who are towing back to the pits, and those who are actually making scheduled pit stops as well. In fact, most of them look like they've got damage.
Yeah, obviously everybody caught up in some form of incident further back in the field on lap 1, whether it be at the top of the mountain when you had a couple of others getting involved like Matthew Spencer in that, or whether they ended up involved with what happened with De Bono and Ross at the final corner. Yeah, there's a number of stricken cars that have some form of damage, if not out of this race so far.
Here's a murder simulation replay. I don't know what it is because all the information we got was a bit of incoherent mumbling from our director. He doesn't even know. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the lap 1 incident. Oh no, Wingard and oh my, oh no, bad, very bad. That's all I got for that one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a parking lot at Skyline there by the looks of it, and not quite actually sure how it entirely unfolded, but Matthew Spencer got on the grass, got loose, and straight into the wall, and then obviously everybody else were left with nowhere to go.
He's just over the crest, isn't he? So those guys had no idea. Huge damage to everyone involved, and once Wingard went in, there was no way for anyone else to get around that. This is on board with Dylan Gray. This is what he saw. Look at the top of your screen too. You notice that Harlow went fastest on that lap. You see the smoke. You think it's cleared. Oh, no.
Oh.
Isaac Edwards going for a wild ride in that race on Ozicar as well. So good job there from Jay to find that incident for us.
He does something right occasionally. That was his own words, not ours. But anyway, Sam Ross making a move on Caleb Heights up the inside. So battle's still going on just behind that lead pack, and it's still going on behind Sam Ross and Caleb Hydes. We've got the likes of Andrew Hobby, Hell and his Shield, and Mizomo not too far behind as well. So all going on throughout this field.
It's just occurred to me too that Header Shield, as we say, doesn't have an L in the last half of his name, or anywhere in his name, to be quite frank. So it's probably actually pronounced Heddershide, but that's going to be a hard habit to shake. So if you want to tell us how to pronounce your name, that'd be great. Thanks, Daniel. I always thought there was an L on there somewhere. Turns out there's not.
Yep, I've just consulted my spelling tool called Google Translate, and it is indeed Heddershide, so we've been wrong all this time.
How many seasons has it been? Caleb Hydes stalking Sam Ross down Conrod Straight. Does he show the impatience or the... Yes, he does. He goes to the outside. This is what Williams tried to do, remember, earlier on in race 1. He, though, didn't have the speed that Hydes did. That's impressive. Round the outside of the chase, and off the outside, through the grass, gathers it up, back onto the black stuff he goes.
Nearly made the wall and did a full-on Paul Radisich nearly, and he's off the road again out of the final corner. So running in a little bit deep as Caleb hides into a couple of these corners, and this is going to allow Sam Ross to close back up, has a look up the inside into turn 1, but not quite going to be close enough.
Yeah, Sam Ross, he's not close enough to look. He's close enough to look and put doubt into the mind of Hydes, but he's not close enough to make the move. But I think it is just pressuring Hydes a little bit as he tries to run away from him now that he's got that one done. Up front, Harlow is slowly eking it out to 3/4 of a second. Reese Gardner slowly falling into no man's land there in third, all by himself. We just saw the two-car scrap for fourth, and then there's this battle behind them between Andrew Hobby, Reese Howe, Heddershide, and Mizomo.
Yes, yeah, good little train of cars just inside this top 10, all trying to find their own little ways through this little battle pack and trying to get up the order, but very, very difficult to do, especially when you're trying to follow someone and trying to push but not overdo those tyres as well. So see what happens, but Mizomo's actually closing in on this little group, and he's the quickest out of the lot as well. So Mizomo definitely on a charge and trying to find his way on through this little battle pack.
You know what we haven't seen yet is pit stops. Not from any of our leading contenders. Haven't seen anyone from the top 10 dive to the lane. In fact, Grant Matterford in 16th is the first car that's pitted. So we are seeing drivers go longer today, which is something that I think we saw last time at Motegi. Hydes, look at him driving it back and forth, weaving across Conrod. Remember, that is perfectly legal. It isn't classed as blocking. He's not moving in response to Dean Ross. He's Cam?
Defending, I think, is the word you're looking for.
It's not, but we'll go with it. He was trying to shape the draft. Which, yeah, defending. Next point. He pitted. Yeah. Dean Ross pitted.
No, Sam Ross, you mean?
Sam Ross. Oof, I've been calling him Dean Ross for a couple of laps now. So Sam Ross pits. Dean Ross has also pitted. So I was half right. Both Rosses up on the jacks, because he was involved in that earlier incident, don't forget, was Dean. And Hobby. Still under pressure. There's a look from Hal. Is he close enough? No, he's not.
Yeah, not quite close enough to make a move, but all over the back of Header side is Mizomo trying to find a way on by. No gap from him, unfortunately, so you have to sit station for the time being. But showing that he's got a lot of pace at the moment does Mizomo. And also just want to point out that Matterford was actually running the same sort of lap times that those inside the top 10 were. So expect to possibly see Matterford jump up the order a little bit here once all the pit stops cycle through.
These top 3 drivers have really broken away from everyone here. 2 seconds now between Harlow and Preston. 4.2 to Gardner. 10 seconds back to Caleb Hydes. And even he's got a 4-second gap back to the train behind. And there's a move. Reese Howe, could he finally get it done on Andrew Hobby? Yes, he can.
Yeah,
Through the kink, the slingshot working perfectly.
Yeah, certainly. Very, very easy, and possibly could have been down to the fact that Hobby is carrying a little bit damage as he comes into pit lane. Hedderscheid actually fakes an entry a little bit there to try and put Mizomo off guard, but decides to stay out instead. So they'll give Howell a bit of clean air to try and build a bit of a gap to these guys behind and possibly try and overcut the car that he was battling with. But nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see what happens. And Mizomo is still reasonably close to the back of Hedderscheid.
So where does Caleb Hydes come out in relation to Sam Ross? Hydes coming off the pit limiter now. He is got him quite easily too as Ross drops it off the racetrack. So great pit stop cycle for Caleb Hydes.
Yes, certainly it was a very good pit stop from Hydes to jump Sam Ross, and actually the difference in pit stop was quite a bit actually. So 23 seconds to Caleb Hydes and 22 seconds for Sam Ross. So actually a quicker stop from Sam Ross, but still managed to come out behind somehow.
On these cold tyres, he might struggle though. He might struggle as those 2 tyres come up to temperature. I don't know which 2 tyres he took either, which could have a very difference. If it's the rear end, he's going to be struggling for rear stability. If it's the right sides, he's going to be struggling for cornering speed. How close was he there to the fence, to the camera?
Yeah, the camera nearly became not a camera and ended up being an expensive lot of rubbish, but very, very close to the wall and camera was Caleb Hydes there.
And here comes Harlow. Gardner comes with him. That leaves... Nope, it doesn't. Reese Howe stays out. It doesn't stay out. Mizomo going to take the lead of the race.
Yeah, so Mizomo actually going to lead a lap here as side by side down towards the chase between Sam Ross and Caleb Hydes. And Hydes is going to be on the outside for the chase. Ross braking as late as he can, but Hydes going to hold it around the outside and have the inside.
Beautiful.
For the next corner. A very, very good move from Caleb Hydes.
That is how you go side by side and don't make contact. Fantastic display of great sportsmanship being shown. Room being given by both drivers. And they come out unscathed, but it's not over with just yet as Ross first gives a shot to the back of Hydes, then pulls to the inside. Now with the preferred line, he comes from a long way back, and they do touch, but it was the slightest of touches. A very small hip check, fair game in my book, and Ross is through.
Great battle for P2 overall, though, outright, because Reese is right on the tail of Preston, though.
Well, that's interesting. 2.5 seconds quicker in the pit lane. So Preston has had an issue, and Gardner looking to be the beneficiary. Let's see if he can capitalise, though, because he's got to pass him.
Yeah, he certainly does, but a really, really good pit stop from Reese Gardner to end up getting right on the back, considering he was quite a ways back from Riley Preston as well. So that's actually given Preston a bit of a disadvantage. Just dropped him right off the back of Harlow now and possibly getting any chance of a win. But nevertheless, Reese doing a fantastic job, and as we say that, nearly puts it in the fence, runs over the curb and onto the grass.
That was a wild moment for Gardner. Very fortunate not to end up in the fence. These being front-wheel drive cars, it's very hard to actually get off the grass, especially at high speed. When you try to pick up the throttle, the front tyres do not respond. You can see how much angle he had on the steering. Only at the very end did the car react and pull away from that fence, the concrete, on the outside to his right-hand side. Modem simulation bringing us another beautiful slow-mo replay as Bobby still in the thick of the action in 11th place as he pitted at this point.
Do believe he has.
Mizomo in the lane, so his lap of the lead comes to an end as we see the action down at the chase. Dean Ross on the outside gets it done. We are seeing some spectacular overtaking maneuvers today.
Yeah,
I think some of the best overtaking we've actually seen in the series, I reckon. Touchwood.
Well, I mean, the season has actually been very, very action-packed so far, and it's been really, really interesting. The tracks seemingly have put on some really, really good racing, and, wow, Bathurst always puts on a good race regardless, so it's of no surprise there's some really, really good battles going on, but Cavallaro at the moment has his hands full with Nathan Anderson as they head into turn 1 now, with Anderson trying to find a way on by Cavallaro. Gets a very nice run out of turn number 1. It's actually going to probably clear Cavallaro before they even get to Griffin's Bend here, side by side, and Anderson's got no mirror on the right-hand side.
Bumpity bump bump they go down Mountain Straight. Now, this is a tale I think I know the answer to, but Vartanian might have had a different answer. Can't make it work on the outside. We want to know too, by the way, I'd be interested to know, what have been your favourite tracks, not just this season, but in the series as a whole? If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop a comment and let us know where your favourite track we visited has been, as Joshua Cavallaro might be hating Bathurst right about now, as he understeers straight into the fence at the cutting.
Yeah, certainly one of those corners where you can easily make a mistake just by running out slightly too deep, and was lucky to actually get away with it with not too much damage, but that's definitely cost him with that mistake for Cavallaro, so he'll be kicking himself with what happened there, but nevertheless, Perrin Stack is holding off Benjamin Daly reasonably well.
Look at this. The drag race up Conrod. Hobby with a front row seat to the show. That's Ross on the left and Howe on the right. That's a bit blurry. And into the chase. Does he throw it back up the inside? He does, and Howe makes a mistake. Ends up on the grass. Spins it. Almost. Gathers it up. Hobby will go through. Howe will lose 2 spots. Meanwhile, battle for P4. Here's a run. Yes, Heights has got a run here. So Ross is going to have to keep that car on the right-hand side of the racetrack. And he does, forcing Heights to look left and look high, dry, and wide up at Griffin's Bend. Throws it in there, keeps it there, and loses the grip. I think the key there is if you keep the right side of the car in the black line where all the rubber is, you can hold it pretty well. But as soon as you miss it, you're gone.
Yeah, certainly is. You end up getting out into the dirty and marbles and dirt out on that outside. So not quite able to hold it around the outside as Caleb Hydes this time around, but he'll definitely be trying to find a way on by Sam Ross. As Ross nearly hits the wall, gets very, very close on the exit of Reed Park into Middle Grey.
I'm wary of the commentator's curse, but I want you to take a look at the leaderboard, Cam, and tell me which driver is close to a milestone achievement in this race that I earmarked before the start. If one of these two come into trouble.
Well, technically, if Sam Ross doesn't come into trouble, that'll be an earmark result for him. But Mizomo is currently 6th, and like you said, if Ross and Hyde's come together, there could very well be a top 5 on the cards for Simon Mizomo. Touch wood, my simulator was wood, so that doesn't need to be done. But nevertheless, Mizomo doing a really, really good job, and actually had a really, really good pit stop to stay out long and actually get some nice clean air, considering he's been held up by those he was around prior to the pit stop. So Mizomo running a really, really nice race here.
Oh, glad I've wiped my hands of that one, and it's now all on you if something happens to anyone. Harlow, 17.8. As the race winds down, his pace just continues to pick up. He's got a 6-second gap now. He is absolutely storming home to a 3rd consecutive round sweep. The closest battle, furthest forward, is this one, as we ride on the front nose of Hydes. Again, all of the track on the exit of turn 1 gives him a very good exit. He's got to the back of Ross earlier this time, so he might be able to get a little bit further up and potentially have a better chance down at Griffin's, or up at Griffin's Bend. He's got a nose ahead as they enter the braking zone. Oh, that's tight. He pinches him down and keeps the right sides in the black stuff, just as I said. And now he's got the inside for the cutting. Now surely Ross has to lift off. He doesn't. He pinches him to the wall. That is superb. Absolutely brilliant racing. These two putting on a fantastic show. This is what we love to see. Nothing left between these guys. Nothing left between them as cars on the track. Nothing left between them and the fence as well. Look how close he is. In fact, I think he's grazing the fence there.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if that's a 0x, but it's all on not too far behind them as well for the minor placings just outside that top 5. Ross, Howell and Hobby all going at it as well. They were side by side through Middle Grey as well at one point, where Hobby and Howell somehow came out the other side. But nevertheless, it's going to be all about what happens between Hydes and Ross, as these two have left nothing on the table heading down towards the chase now. And Hydes is going to be in a nice position here with the draft, but what does he do? Does he wait or does he go early?
Ross isn't defending, so Hydes is going to look. He's going to have the inside run for the kink. Can he clear him through there and sweep around the outside of the chase? Side by side through the kink they run, and they touch, and Hyde spins. No, across the inside of the chase. Jackson Harlow wins it as he sends up smoke signals himself across the line. Preston will come home in 2nd. Sam Ross, he's going to finish in 4th. Hydes in 5th. Mizomo will fall just short and will come 6th. Dean Ross, Retail, Andrew Hobby, the rest of your drivers. Oh, what a shame. Singing the praises of that battle. But I guess when you battle that hard, something has to give.
Yeah, it certainly does. And they raced as hard as they possibly could all the way up until that point. So credit to them. And it was the last lap, so they had to try and be as aggressive as they could to try and hold on to the position. But in the end, Sam Ross just came out on top of that battle.
All right, time for some replays. Let's dissect this one then. Thank you, Murder Simulation. Up at turn 2. He almost did what Vartanian did. He was so close. He did exactly what I said needed to be done. He pinched him down. He kept that right side in the black stuff. His car's pretty narrow, so it's doable. But then at the cutting, the confidence from Ross to leave him the racing room, and the confidence he had in Hides to keep the car glued to the inside, and then cut across in front of him and took the spot away.
Yeah, certainly. They were fighting it tooth and nail the whole way, using every inch of the road to try and have some form of an advantage. Even nearly wiping the mirror there was Caleb Hides. As you could see the gap between the wall and the mirror. But yeah, what a fantastic battle. And Hides was trying everything he could to get as close as he could down the mountain. And in the end, it was just enough to get enough of a draft.
Won't be much action for another 20 seconds. You see how much he closed up on the entry. The crucial thing is his exit looks much more smoother than Ross. The rear end of Ross's car looks to be overstepping the mark a bit. And so he was compromised down Conrod Straight. Ross was very keen to cover the inside for the chase, which meant giving up the inside for the kink, which is almost a flat-out corner when you're side by side. Hides was so far alongside, and then they touch. Same place on the track. And unfortunately, Hides goes for a high-speed half spin into the kitty litter. Thankfully, though, it doesn't actually drop a spot, as opposed to where he was at the start of the lap. See it from the bird's eye view here, Cameron.
Yeah, certainly. And even in slow motion as well, just minor contact between them on the corner. And unfortunately, unsettled Caleb Hides, who went into pretty much a 90-degree to the corner drift the whole way down towards the chase and then came out the other side. Luckily, didn't hit anyone. But nevertheless, what a battle. And unfortunate that it ended in contact between those two. But you could not have asked for a tougher fight between them.
Quickly run through your top 10 here. Harlow winning again. Had Riley Preston in second, Reese Garden in third, Ross Hides fourth and fifth, Mizomo sixth, Dean Ross, Reese Howe, Andrew Hobby, and Daniel Heddershard making up your top 10. And keep your eye on the screen for the rest of the results as they run through. Let's then have a chat with someone who's almost spent as much time in this comms box as you and I can. It's Jackson Harlow. Another day, another couple of race wins. Good job.
Yeah, cheers, boys. It was fun. Good. Can't really complain. It's always good to race at Bathurst, but winning 2 races out of 2 races, you can't complain with that. So yeah, good.
You can't. You do seem to have a knack at this track to do very well, and it just feels sweet. It feels more special when you nail a lap in qualifying and you nail the race, doesn't it? At a place like this.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like Bathurst, you always got to be on the edge and. Yeah, to drive fast, lap after lap, and especially in qualifying when you hang everything out on the line just to put that one good lap in, it's always cool. So, yeah, I love Bathurst. Usually whenever I come here, I'm somewhere abouts up the front. So, yeah, it's always good. And, yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Are your chances, is your confidence as high for the next 2 races to finish off the season, or next 2 rounds, I should say, as it was for today?
Yeah, I guess so. I got a couple other races before then that I need to focus on now and do all that. But yeah, when it comes to the time for the next race next week, then focus will go on that, and I just got to go out and yeah, just drive the thing and see if I can win 2 more races. But there's no reason why I can't. There's all these other boys are putting a lot of pressure on me, and they're being faster, getting faster and faster each week. So. I'm expecting next week to be a bit closer. So, yeah, I just got to go out there and see what we can do.
Well, I'm sure we'll all look forward to the masterclass you'll either put on or in terms of pace or put on in terms of racecraft with whoever challenges you. Anyone to thank? There's no sponsors, is there?
No, not really any sponsors at the moment. So, can't really thank anyone. But, yeah, just thanks to the boys that have been helping out, like Mario Vartanian, Eddie Beswick and all them guys have been trying to help them out with setups and just get better and better in the TCR each week. So it's been really cool to watch them get faster and faster. Dylan had a very rough night. Me and him were teammates in that teams championship, and yeah, he had a really rough night. So that's a couple of weeks in a row now. He hasn't really finished the races, so it's not really good. But yeah, he'll get there and learn from it and come back stronger, I guess.
Well, if ever there's a mentor that DeBono needs, I think you are the man for him. Go and console them
Hopefully.
after that race. And
Yeah, cheers.
thank you for joining us.
Thanks, boys.
So that was Jackson Harlow, your race winner. Story of two different tales then for that team, with him and DeBono teaming up. And you can have a chat to Riley Preston.
Yeah, certainly, Riley. 2 second places tonight to help you in the championship to some extent, but pretty good night for you overall.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was hoping for a little bit more against Jackson, but just didn't quite have the pace. I think I went a little bit of the wrong direction on the setup just before the first race, and I just couldn't keep up. It only got worse.
Yeah, certainly seemed to be some form of a lack of pace from you tonight compared to Jackson anyway. But in race 2, you seem to have a bit of a slower stop than Reece Gardner, who was right on the tail of you at the end after the pit stop. Was there any sort of placement issues, or was something going awry?
Not that I'm aware of. It's kind of been happening to me in the last 2 or 3 races that I'm just losing a good 3 or 4 seconds in the pit stop. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. It felt okay. But, it's something I try to deal with, and thankfully just managed to get out ahead of Reece and hold position there.
Yeah, well, certainly it will help you in the championship to get some decent points under your belt. Well, we head to another Australian track, Oran Park. You looking forward to it at all?
I'm not sure. I've never raced at Oran Park, and
What?
I don't actually own the track, so it'll be interesting.
Call yourself an Australian.
That's it.
Well, before we let you go, any shout outs and any thanks you want to give?
Yeah, thanks to Evolution Racing Team and the sponsors, and a shout out to little Leon the sausage dog, who's recovering in the vet right now after a little encounter with a pit bull.
Oh.
Well, very best for your dog, Riley. But at the moment, thank you for joining us. And I believe you are standing by with our third place get at Reece Gardner, Ryan.
2 different races for you today, Reece. Race 1 was a tough old slog. You fell back to 9th. Race 2 was pretty lonely.
Yeah, it was. Race 1, obviously, you guys might have caught it. I made contact with Sam Ross coming out of the chase. It didn't feel like that big contact on my end, but it translated into something pretty bad for him. So I attempted to redress, but ultimately he said I should keep going. So I guess race control deemed that I disadvantaged myself enough through that, and they didn't give me a penalty. So I ended up coming home in 9th. Yeah, race 2, very lonely. I tried to do a bit of an overcut on Riley, and it almost worked. But apart from that, yeah, it was just trying to survive.
So talk us through that contact then with Ross in race 1 from your perspective. How did it sort of come about?
Well, I had a peek up the inside. He braked a little later than me. I thought that I was far to the left on the line, but yeah, ultimately I wasn't. And bit of contact with his rear quarter, and around he went, which I feel is very strange for a front-wheel drive touring car. Usually, rear-end contact under acceleration doesn't result in the car spinning. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. And I've already apologized to Sam in Sim, but I'll officially apologize to him here as well. I obviously never meant for those things to happen.
Good to cop it on the chin and straight talk it. Now, how do you stop finishing on the podium and start winning races?
I have no idea. I was hoping you guys could tell me, because
Try faster.
Yeah. How? Because for some reason, Riley and Jackson, they just have this edge. They're able to get like 3 or 4 tenths out of it more than me. So honestly, I don't even know where to start. I feel like I'm at the max that I can currently be with this car at the moment. I just got to keep working, keep looking to find that one little secret that can grant me that extra few tenths.
Well, we'll keep a keen eye on you then, and we'll see whether you manage to find those extra couple of tenths before the season rounds out, or whether the win will go begging another season. Who do you want to thank for getting another podium today?
Thanks to everyone who supports Fusion Sim Racing, Eclipse Signage, Daryl Carter Plastering, and Dripping Paint Graphics. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for joining us. So that will bring us to the end of our broadcast. Final thoughts on this one, Cam?
Gonna be interesting to see what Oran Park is like with the very tight, twisty, short, and bumpy track that it is with these cars. So, looking forward to it and seeing who comes out on top. And who knows, Reese might get that win there.
Maybe. Or maybe Harley will dominate again. If you want to find out, make sure you tune in next time on Wednesday evening at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard to see all the action from Oran Park living its legacy on in the virtual world. Thank you for joining us this evening. Remember, you can find out more about Simspeed TV on our social media channels at Simspeed Esports Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well, so you can stay up to date with all of our latest broadcasts. My name is Ryan Jones. Cameron Dance was alongside me. Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.